Hi dear Cancers, welcome to my YouTube channel, and in this video I'm going to talk about the transits for the month of November. Can you believe it's November already? It's hard for me to believe it because it seems like January was a few weeks ago. It's crazy. I don't know where time is going. But anyway, so right now as I'm recording this, we are in the midst of the eclipse season, okay, in October, like right in between two eclipses. So the energies are very hectic, very intense. Like changes are happening all around, okay? But thankfully November is quite boring, and that's good news because it will give us time to recover from all of these intense energies. And by the end of November, we should be back to normal, more or less, okay? Or at least we'll get used to the new normal, so to speak. Because normally the dust of the eclipse settles a month after the last eclipse, okay? So let's see. In the very beginning of November, we have this series of oppositions. The very first one is the Sun in Scorpio making an opposition to Jupiter in Taurus. And for you Cancers, this opposition is happening in your fifth house of romance, children, fun and hobbies, and Jupiter in your house of friendships, hopes and wishes. Yeah, so those two themes making an opposition. And since we have Jupiter involved in this aspect, it means it's not as bad as it sounds. Oppositions normally are tense aspects that kind of like require a compromise. Okay, but Jupiter is a benefic planet, so it should be easy. And this is a very temporary transit, short-term transit. It's active for like 2 or 3 days maximum. And then on the same day, on November 3rd, Venus in Virgo is going to make an opposition to Neptune in Pisces. Now, this aspect, I'm worried a little bit about this one because it screams delusions. Okay, this aspect is very, very like how should I say? Wearing rose-tinted glasses. Yeah, it's like that because Neptune is very foggy. It's very nebulous. It's like it's the planet of illusions, delusions, you could say. And Venus, as you know, it's love. So now, when you combine those two, you get like delusional love, like wearing rose-tinted glasses, ignoring all the red flags. So if you're planning to go on a date, yeah, it will be romantic, but keep in mind that you are probably over-idealizing your partner on that day. Okay. Next, but again, the good news is that this is a very short-term aspect. It's active for like 2 or 3 days only. And this is not the kind of aspect that's going to turn your life upside down, so don't worry, okay? And next, on November 4th, we have Scorpio Mercury making an opposition to Uranus. Now, this aspect screams like sudden flashes of like brilliance, I guess, sudden breakthroughs in like thought process. Because Mercury, as you know, it's thoughts, it's communication. And Uranus is like surprises, sudden flashes. And Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. So when they are involved in an aspect, you get like lots of mental activity, mental breakthroughs. Yeah, so if you need to have important conversations, I would say November 4th might be a good time for that. Although it might be in a way that you are kind of forced to address that issue because it's opposition, not like something that you voluntarily decide to do, but circumstances will kind of like force you to do it. And this opposition is happening in your 5th house and 11th house. So children, hobbies, fun, leisure, make an opposition to friendships, long-term goals and wishes. Yeah, so between those two, like exchange of energy, I guess. On the same day, on November 4th, Saturn is going to station direct on the 0th degree of Pisces. This is good because after Saturn stations direct, that means only 3 planets will be left in retrograde motion. And those are Jupiter, Uranus, and Neptune. And they're all outer planets, so when they're retrograde, we don't feel them that much. In November, we don't have any inner planet retrogrades, and that's good. So that means our daily life will be normal. We won't forget things, we won't misunderstand, we won't get lost, we won't have a fight with our loved ones, like in that sense. November is good from that point of view. And so when Saturn turns direct, it's good for you guys Cancers because Saturn rules your relationship house. So if you experienced any frustrations or delays in your relationship area since June, now things are gonna start moving forward slowly but surely. Okay. And so when Saturn stations direct, it's gonna station direct on the 0th degree of Pisces, and this is like the very first degree of Pisces. So the energy is very potent. It's like the purest form of Pisces. Yeah. And for you Cancers, this is your ninth house. So for the next 2 years, you will be um, bringing order, fixing things, so to speak, regarding your personal beliefs, personal philosophy. Okay. Like seeing the big picture, spirituality. Ninth house is a spiritual house in a sense that like organized religion kind of spirituality. Yeah, and so for the next 2 years you will be reevaluating those, analyzing what what is lacking, what needs to be done. Because if you think about it, Saturn is like the inspector, okay, that we all fear. Imagine houses are like the branches of a big company, and Saturn, when it transits a sign, it's like the inspector from the main office coming to visit your branch. Okay, and so he will be in your ninth house for the next 2 years and making sure that like everything is working fine, and he will be removing those people who are not doing their job well. Okay, and he will be rewarding those things where you need rewards. Yeah, so it's like double edged. So you will let go of certain personal beliefs that no longer serve you, and yeah, you will get rewards in terms of like ninth house matters. So ninth house rules higher education. So for some Cancers, if you've delayed getting your diploma or education, now it will be the time when you kind of like fix that. Or it might be that you will have to postpone or take a semester off or take a year off from college because Saturn is delayed. Some circumstances might force you to make those delays. Yeah. Next, November 5th, last quarter moon in Leo. So starting from November 5th until like November 10th maybe, I would say it's a great time to recharge your batteries, wrap things up that started with the previous new moon, and like prepare things, get ready for the next upcoming new moon. Okay, it's a great time for that. But like, don't waste energy to start anything from zero, like signing documents and stuff. Like, because the moon will be becoming smaller and smaller every day. Yeah. So if you are waiting for announcements, decisions, news, you can expect them to start coming around November 10th, okay? Because the new moon is gonna happen on November 13th. So we get the news from the new moon, usually like starting from 4 days before or after. So yeah, and then on November 8th, Venus is gonna enter Libra. Venus loves being in Libra because it rules Libra. It's like remember that pink mansion from the Barbie movie. That's Venus in Libra. That's Venus's house. Okay, it's the prettiest house. Venus loves being here. If you remember, since early October, Venus was in Virgo, and Venus hates being in Virgo. It's like the popular girl was like long nails in designer clothes, doing manual job, like washing bathrooms. Venus hates that in Virgo. Okay, but now in Libra, Venus is gonna feel fancy again. And for you, dear Cancers, this is your fourth house. So starting from November 8th, you might be in the mood to kind of like redecorate your house. So if you need new decorations for your home, new furniture, I would say starting from November 8th is a great time for that. Venus will help you select the most beautiful furniture, like with the most reasonable prices, because again, remember, Venus rules finances. And so yeah, you'll get like good valuable stuff. And also the fourth house is not only like your house, it's also the emotional foundations, your family. Yeah, so relationship around with your family should be beautiful around this time. Yeah, okay. I mean, extra beautiful. I'm sure it's normal, like in other days as well, but it should be like extra pleasant around this time. Anyway, and then on November 10th, Mercury is gonna enter Sagittarius. So Mercury normally sprints through signs, like it spends only like 3 weeks in each sign. So Mercury in Sagittarius, that is your sixth house, dear Sagittarius, dear Cancers. So starting from November 10th, uh, there might be more work, more writing to do at work, because sixth house is your work, your health, routine, your pet. Okay. Ooh, like water started splashing. Okay, anyway, so starting from November 10th, as soon as Mercury enters Sagittarius, it's going to make a square to Saturn in Pisces. Now that one can feel frustrating because Saturn is blockages, obstacles. So you might want to communicate something about work related, but there will be some obstacles. You won't be able to do it. But thankfully, this is very temporary. It's active for only a day or two. Next, on November 11th, Mars in Scorpio is gonna make an opposition to Uranus in Taurus. So again, this aspect is gonna happen in your fifth house and 11th house. You can see in November there is a lot of activity going on between your house of fun, children, hobbies, romance, and your house of long-term goals, wishes, and friendships, like-minded people. There will be a lot of activity going on. Those themes will be prominent for you guys in November, dear Cancers. And so, on November 13th, finally, we have that new moon in Scorpio, on the 20th degree of Scorpio. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, you can expect news, announcements, decisions around this new moon. And this new moon is happening in your fifth house. Fifth house, as I said, romance, children, hobbies, leisure, yeah. So it would be a great time if you want to spend time with your children. It's a great time for that. You will have that childlike energy and patience to play games with them and stuff. All of those play pretends that children play, right? You might have more time to dedicate to your hobby. Okay. Those of you who don't have children or are single, it might be a great time to go on a date. Okay. And so next, another thing is, I forgot to mention, this new moon is going to make an opposition to Uranus. Again, the house of friendships is involved. So maybe you will get to do something some leisure or hobby activity, some fun activity with your friend. Who knows? Maybe. And Uranus, as you know, it's always surprise. So maybe there will be some surprise getaway trip with a friend on the weekend, something like that. And another thing is, so this is the first new moon after the solar eclipse in Libra, okay? And so the event associated with that solar eclipse might play out around this new moon, because sometimes it can happen. So the eclipse is here, the events associated with it can happen a month in advance or a month after. So if you feel like, oh, like we had these eclipses in October but nothing happened, well, it might be because it's about to happen in November, okay? I'm not saying this is gonna happen for all cancers. I'm just saying, like, for some, this might be the case. Yeah. And so next, on November 18th, we have Scorpio Sun conjunct Mars in Scorpio. Okay, on the 21st degree. Now this is important because we don't have Mars and Sun conjunctions every year. This happens once every year and a half, I believe. Yeah, and it doesn't happen in Scorpio very often either. Like, I mean, it's true for all signs, but like this year is especially important because Mars rules Scorpio, so this conjunction is like important, and it marks the beginning of a new cycle, okay, of Mars-related themes. So it's like a new moon, but like a new Mars, okay. New moons happen when the Sun and Moon are conjunct, right? But on November 18th, we have Sun and Mars conjunct, so something new in Mars-related themes. And for you, Cancers, Scorpio is your fifth house, so some new cycle beginning regarding your fifth house matters. Your fun, your hobbies, the way you have fun. I mean, like your leisure, the way you vacation, your children. Okay, from those themes, there will be a new cycle beginning from November 18th. Next, on November 22nd, the Sun is going to enter Sagittarius. Remember, most of November you had those oppositions between the 5th house and 11th house, but now, slowly, towards the end of November, the planets are going to start crowding in your 6th house. So, all the focus from fun, hobbies, children is going to start moving towards your work, your health, routine, pets. Okay? Yeah, so shortly after the Sun, Mars is going to join the Sun in Sagittarius. So now you have the Sun and Mars in your 6th house. So I feel like there will be a lot of activity going on in your work, because Mars, wherever it is, it tends to activate things, activate that house. Mars, since it rules war, it's the god of war after all, can mean that you will be more conflict oriented at work, I guess. No, there will be like higher chances of irritations at work. Let's just put it that way. It might be that your coworkers irritate you more than often, because Mars brings that impulsive energy, impatient energy, and the 6th house is coworkers. So do be mindful of that. Okay. If there have been a lot of projects that need attention and energy, then it's a great time to get those done. Mars will give you that energy to get it done. So yeah, if you need to reorganize furniture at work, it's a great time for that. Um, I mean, that's just an example. It's not something that all cancers are going to do. Next, on November, Mars conjunct Sun, November 27th, we have a full moon in Gemini, on the 4th degree of Gemini. So Cancers, if you have, those of you who have planets around that degree, maybe your Mercury, maybe your Venus, you are going to feel this full moon. But otherwise, for others, yes, all Cancers are going to feel it like everyone else, but it will be just less prominent. So this full moon, Geminis, it's no, not Geminis, Cancers. It's happening in your 12th house, the house of isolation. It's the very last house. So the Sun will be in your 6th house of work, and the Moon in your isolation. So work and rest, those themes will be prominent. And again, this is the first full moon after the lunar eclipse in Taurus in October. So the events associated with that lunar eclipse might play out around this full moon, if that makes sense. So yeah, be mindful, be observant, I guess, around this full moon. And another thing about this full moon is that this full moon marks the culmination of the peak intensity of energies, eclipse energies. Okay, so after this, things should be back to normal, more or less. Yeah. So full moons are usually the times of culminations, illuminations, achievements. Okay, endings. So the 12th house. If we connect the dots, maybe it will be the time when you finally, when you finish your vacation and start working, or maybe you were on a maternity leave. Now you are done with that and start working. Like your time in isolation coming to an end, so to speak, because 12th house is a house of isolation, right? Yeah. So this is the possible interpretation for this full moon. And now, what was I gonna mention? So this is it for November, dear Cancers. As you can see, it's kind of boring almost. And when I was writing this horoscope, I was like, wow, what can I mention for this month? Yeah, so, and I guess that's good news, because we will have time to recover from all the eclipses, okay, in November. I mean, in October. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please subscribe, okay? And I hope to see you guys in December. And remember that I offer astrology readings, birth chart readings, astrocartography readings, compatibility readings, transits and stuff. And I apologize for the October, okay? I answered the emails very late. It must have been frustrating. It's just I lost someone who was like a family member, so I was grieving that person, okay? And so yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in December.